I'd like to begin this video with a disclaimer that I am not a part of the WGA or SAG-AFTRA, nor am I an expert on this topic. I'm not even American, for that matter. I would encourage you to do your own research. There are some great resources online, especially the Writers Guild of America website. I've linked that down below. If you are interested at all in this, I would encourage you to do some more research and find ways in which you can help if this is something you want to support. But today, I kind of want to talk more about the implications of being on strike now, especially during a golden age of content. So I'm not... this won't be like a very detailed fact-based video. This is going to be more about theorizing why I think the writers might have a harder time on strike now than they did in 2008. But you might be asking, 2008, what happened in 2008? Well, obviously, other than the big thing that happened in 2008, the last time the writers of the WGA went on strike was in 2008, and this was kind of around residuals of DVDs being cheaper to make than VHSs, so writers were getting less of a cut than they were when VHSs were being released, among other things. Again, I'd encourage you to go do some research on the 2008 writers' strike. But specifically, the reason why I wanted to bring it up was to compare their strike then to their strike now. So during that time, a lot of what happened was broadcast television was put on a hiatus. The same thing we're seeing now, a lot of late night comedy and scripted shows were pulled from the air. Breaking Bad's first season, I didn't know this before. The reason why it is so short is because it was being written during the writer's strike, and so characters like Dean Norris, who apparently was supposed to die at the end of season 1, ended up staying till the end of the last season because the episode in which he died was written during the strike and therefore was not allowed to be filmed. So what happened during this time? Broadcasts were stuck because they realized that a lot of their scripted programming suddenly was no longer going to be coming out. And so they needed something to replace that programming. So this kind of created what became the birth of modern day not the birth, but the saturation of modern day reality television. Reality TV, comparatively similar to produce, but does not require any writing. It's a thing that's made entirely through production and editing. So they were able to make a lot of reality TV still within the guidelines of the writers' strike. So a lot of the stuff you see now, why reality TV is currently as popular as it is, in some way is to do with the strike that happened in 2008. Because of the broadcast TV not having a lot of things to put on, they had to create reality TV to fill this hole that was left after the writers went on strike of scripted content on television. There was a significant lack of content that was being produced in 2008, and so as a result, they had to compensate for that. Now, flash forward to now, their writers are on strike again for different reasons, but similar reasons. One of the main reasons also being AI, which wasn't a thing in 2008. And I just want to do a quick little thing on AI here. So this is the AI segment. So we'll do the AI segment and then we'll go back into writing. AI's use in many things nowadays is currently a big who knows what's going to happen because it's still in its infancy. We don't know where it's going to go. In writing and creation specifically, we've seen people try to use AI to make certain things, and there's good and bad of those. A lot of people are very negative towards AI. A lot of people are very positive towards AI. I stand in the middle. I think AI can be a great tool when used properly, but currently I don't think it has the capability to fully replace any actual creative artist as of yet, which is, I think, a great thing. People can still write, but people can use AI to kind of create brainstorming ideas and storyboards, or maybe a temp script that then writers can then fix up. Photograph AI currently I think is a lot more further along than written word, and because it's not predictive text, it's more pixel prediction or whatever it is. I don't know, I'm not a scientist. Again, I'm not an expert here. These are just my opinions. Most recently, we've seen Disney use AI in the opening credits for Secret Invasion, which in my opinion looks bad. It doesn't look like something that you would expect for a person to make. It looks like AI art, which kind of detracts from it being good. I think what it looks like is something that you would show an actual VFX artist and say, hey, here's the concept, here's kind of the vibe that we want for this opening credits, can you make this better? But of course Disney, who have had already kind of interesting relationships with their VFX artists, please Disney, pay your VFX artists properly. They do a lot of work for you, and based on that last episode of Secret Invasion, please pay somebody good money to make something that isn't garbage. But the AI in this case could have been used as a really great learning process or a tool to help somebody who actually has skills in this thing make that thing even better. I've heard people kind of say, oh, well, what they're going to do with this writer strike is the studios are just going to make AI films. They're just going to write a script with AI and make it. And if that is the case, I think the writer strike are probably in a pretty good position, because what could happen is a big studio can make an AI movie and it just be absolutely garbage and rubbish, and the script is trash and nobody likes it. And then the writers go, see, there you go. Turns out you do need us. You can't just replace us with a machine who creates the most generic-based screenplay you've ever seen. So that could go either way. Hopefully they don't find other things to do and find people who will scab and fix up a treatment written by AI, but we'll see how it goes. That'll be an interesting topic in terms of AI, but that's really all I needed to say about AI. Now onto the kind of more important thing, which is the idea of content holes and filling up the content that is left from a strike. So as I said before, the idea that in 2008, when the writers went on strike, there was this gap in content that wasn't filled for broadcast television and that they filled with reality TV. Now, to look at today, where we are living in what many people would argue is the golden age of content. People say golden age of TV, golden age of movies, golden age of video games, golden age of everything. The truth is we are living in an age that is incredibly filled with content, considerably, in a way that 2008 even wasn't. If you go back to like what you were able to watch in 2008, it was free-to-air television, cable TV, and even like early ideas of YouTube were a thing, but YouTube wasn't this like corporate mega field where Jimmy Fallon gets 50 million views. It was like Smosh and PewDiePie and people like that who now get the same amount of views. But YouTube was not a place that people would go for legitimate content. It was a place that people would go to see other people posting fun, engaging, and like small level productions. It wasn't a high grade thing that it is now, where YouTubers have full on production studios and crews and everything to make their quality even higher than it would have been in, let's say, 2008. I just wanted to add a little bit about the way in which these YouTubers now have these kind of higher production values, and the streamers are kind of doing more traditional television stuff. I think the greatest examples of this are like Disguised Toast and Ludwig, who have done their own versions of Jeopardy and have basically created have basically created versions of Jeopardy that feature streamers and people that a younger audience might want to engage with. Also, YouTube channels like College Humor and Corridor Digital, which have then created their own streaming services within YouTube itself to make even more content available that has production that would absolutely rival what you would typically see on traditional free-to-air TV. Rooster Teeth have been doing this for years. They've created this almost like multi-network of scripted content, improv comedy, gameplay streams, and also like high-quality animation that they do. So there are currently like a lot of options of things to watch that are all of a really high value of stuff that you would kind of find or at least expect traditionally from TV, but are instead available online. Even Smosh, whose videos had this kind of home quality, now have full production studios, and whose Smosh Pit YouTube channel basically acts as group improv at a very, very high and very, very good production level. Smosh Pit has the quality that you would expect of traditional live TV. The content machine has been working on overdrive for the past like 10 years. There's statistics around how many videos get uploaded to YouTube every day. If you go onto like your basic subscription feed, if you're like an average YouTube viewer and you look at how many videos you have to watch in a day, it's enough to probably be as much as your average TV goer would watch when they came home from work in 2008. Streaming is also a massive part of this. Live streaming has kind of replaced the idea of live broadcast TV for a lot of younger people. People watch Twitch more so than they watch TV. People tune in to watch live sports and live events on Twitch rather than watching them live on TV. The idea of having Twitch streamers, which eventually, yes, it's the same like YouTube, were smaller people that have now blossomed into these larger than life personalities and also productions, is great for them, but also then ends up being another layer on top of what would have already been a large amount of content. We had TV, and now we have TV and streaming and YouTube. There's a lot of things to watch nowadays. So much so that I could argue there's probably also too many things to watch. I often find myself prioritizing what to watch because there's too many things to do. There's too many shows releasing, too many movies that are coming out, too many new YouTube videos, too many Twitch streams to watch. There are so many things that pile up that the job nowadays of the average consumer is to figure out which things you want to watch rather than just turning on the TV and watching whatever is on. There is no way to do that anymore unless you're engaging with Twitch or still free-to-air TV, which some people still do. But nowadays, the shift has been from what is on to what do I want to watch. My dad, who watches like free-to-air TV and has forever, recently has, since we got like the smart TV, has just been going to YouTube and has been looking up videos of things he wants to watch as opposed to scrolling through TV. That is the age we live in now, where the opportunity of what you want to watch is so easy and at your fingertips that you don't need to scroll through channels anymore. You can search video of cat lying down and you'll see one. If you want to watch it, it's there. Plus, the content then bleeds onto our phones. People scroll for hours on everything, on YouTube, on TikTok. There are things to watch and things to do, whether it's on TV or on your phone, it's everywhere, all the time. So what happens then in terms of the writers' strike? So the writers are now on strike and it creates this gap, again, like it did in 2008. There's no scripted content, there's no late night comedy, all of those things kind of cease to exist in the same way they did in 2008. But the thing that wasn't around in 2008 is these other platforms, these other ways that we can engage in content that isn't that. Stephen Colbert isn't on TV anymore. That's fair. There's no new episodes of Late Night with Stephen Colbert. But if you go onto YouTube, you can find clips and you can find compilations of his stuff. There's ways to still engage with Stephen Colbert's content even when he isn't live on the air. Is this good? Is this bad? That remains to be seen. But it is a way in which people can still see the things that they love without having to engage in new content of it. There is no gap, there is no hole that is created because these people no longer create their television shows. And that, I think, my contention for this video is that that is probably a bad thing. Because people are still engaging with it, people aren't going to notice it. Your average consumer probably isn't going to be majorly affected by the writers' strike. Most people probably aren't even aware that there is a content gap, or if they are, it's probably minuscule as opposed to the things that they see on Netflix. There's always new things to watch on Netflix. There's always old things to watch on Netflix. It doesn't matter if there's no new shows for 6 months. If The Office is still available to be streamed 24/7, people are still going to watch it. There is no hole in content. People aren't obsessed with watching new TV because new TV is what released on air. Reruns have an entire new idea now because the identity of a rerun is no longer just showing on TV, but you can watch the entire season of Seinfeld, the entire season of The Office over and over again whenever you want. There is no gap. There is no hole in the content machine, which lets people catch up. I, for one, would be grateful if nothing new released anytime soon, because then I could catch up on all the things I've been really meaning to watch, but because new shows have been coming out, like My Adventures with Superman and the How To with John Wilson, great shows that I'm really enjoying. But if those shows weren't coming out, I'd be able to watch older things. I'd be able to catch up on shows I haven't seen, like 1889, which has been canceled, so why would I even bother? This is great for us, by the way, the consumer. It's bad for the writers because obviously their work and their strike is less known, but it's great for a consumer because the truth is there is always things for us to engage with. There's always content for us to watch. This is great for us. But as a result, the people who are making the money from this are the top big wigs, the Netflixes and the CEOs of these companies who benefit from us paying subscription services. None of that money obviously goes into the writers' pockets. That's one of the reasons that they're on strike. And now because of this strike, a lot of these CEOs are now kind of trading cards with each other, where shows that were exclusively available on streaming are now being pulled to free-to-air TV, or maybe shows that were locked behind a paywall that were now coming to a more wider audience. A lot of HBO shows have been now pushed to Netflix. Some Disney Plus shows have been put on ABC free-to-air. These CEOs are trading cards in a way to help each other out during a time when they don't have enough content to create new things, so they're able to recycle old content by giving it to each other. Again, this is a great thing for the consumer. If you're a Netflix subscriber and you haven't seen any HBO shows because you can't be bothered buying HBO Max, now everything that you want to watch, or maybe some of the things you want to watch, is available for you on Netflix. These are great consumer-ready things, which as a result kind of goes against the strike. If as a consumer you go, oh, awesome, I can now watch Insecure on Netflix, great show, amazing. You don't really care about the fact that the reason why that happened is because the people who wrote shows are no longer writing new ones. And now with the actors striking as well, more people I think became aware of the strike. Before it was just obviously the Writers Guild, and most people don't really know who the Writers Guild are or the people who are writers of the shows that they are. But I think the people who came up to me and said, hey, have you heard about this strike thing, were the people who suddenly saw on the news that maybe Matt Damon wasn't going to be in a new movie. And that's fair enough. Those are valid concerns. But if SAG-AFTRA are also on strike, and the fact that there will be possibly no major movies that contain major actors that we know, it can help push that gap even further and push it into a wider appeal. And the idea, the strike isn't supposed to make itself known by creating this gap in content. That's more of a way to push the people at the top to make decisions because they're stopping them from being able to make new content. But if you want wider culture to realize about what you're striking for, getting a SAG-AFTRA on board is a great idea. But the content machine continues. Compilation clips made online of these actors still exist and have existed for ages. You can see most recently ones with Barbie. Compilation clips of Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling as they have their kind of back and forth banter. There doesn't necessarily need to be new movies because we can still engage with these celebrities and these writers in ways that is available online for free for anyone to access 24/7, and there's constantly going to be new ones made. People have found ways to create their own content surrounding the things that they like. This fills the gap that is left by the writers and the actors' strike. Sure, there might be no late-night comedy shows, but if you like that kind of style, most commentary YouTubers can give you the same kind of fix. Modern-day ideas with a unique lens that you go to. The same reason why people watch people like Jarvis Johnson or Curtis Connor is because they have an attachment to their personality and their commentary on what is going on is funny. Of course, it's for a much younger audience. Stephen Colbert has appealed to everyone, whereas I feel like YouTube comedians or YouTube commentary channels appeal to a much younger audience base. Your average person isn't going to go at 9 p.m. and go and watch a certain commentary video, but it could lead to that point. If eventually there is no late night comedy for maybe a year or so, people might find ways in which to get that same fix elsewhere, and those options are available to them, which kind of leads me to the core of this video. Should we go on strike too? Is that something that should be considered? Should content creators and streamers also realize that this content machine is becoming too much and understand that what we're doing is we're filling the gap created by this strike? And of course, that's a much more complicated issue of that. People can't just stop making YouTube videos or stop streaming forever. A writer's strike, which is for a completely different medium. But it's just interesting to think about the fact that what we do as content creators is basically create more stuff for people to watch all the time forever. People don't miss anything that doesn't come out because there's always new things to watch. If there's no new season of your favorite television show, that's really bad. That's probably on average 8 hours of new content, and there's enough stuff online for you to fill that time with something else. I don't really know what the solution is. These are just kind of thoughts that I've been having about the strike and how I feel as someone who really enjoys television and film, and also YouTube and online content creation, how I haven't really felt like I've been impacted in any way by the strike that's been going on for a very long time. Currently, the strike is going on for longer than I think everyone really expected it to, and it is projected to go even longer. If the strike keeps going, the question then becomes, at what point do the writers buckle, or at what point do we hope that the CEOs start paying the writers what they deserve? The problem is, for every person that watches Jimmy Fallon on Netflix, NBC still makes money. As long as the same viral clips people keep watching over and over again, somebody gets paid from that. It's NBC. At the end of the day, it's incredibly hard to go on strike during an age where there is plenty of content available all of the time, created every single day. I stand with the writers and the actors, and I really hope that they get what they want and what they deserve. But this is a complicated issue. I encourage you, if you're interested in all, find ways in which you can support if you want to, or if not, that's fine too. Just keep doing what you want to be doing. It doesn't harm us in any way. By the end of it, that's kind of the point of this video. Whether you agree with the writer's strike or not, your life probably isn't going to be majorly affected by it. The stuff that you watch will continue to be available to watch on demand, and if not, available on YouTube or in clips or in some sort of fan-made compilation that has been created about it. Or if there isn't that, make one. There's no harm. You can do it yourself. You can always engage with the content that you like and continue to engage with it. Fan engagement has reached massive new levels. But at the end of the day, who benefits from this engagement? Nobody but the people who own the things we engage with. That is the core of the problem. If you've watched this video, you've now spent however long this video is watching me talk about the fact that there is nothing to watch. But in and of itself, you've watched something. It's this weird irony to it. We watch videos and see interviews about people talking about the strike, but that fills up the gap that would have happened if people were not on strike. The content machine rolls on. And it will continue to roll on and roll on and roll on because there's always new things to watch, new things to see, new things to catch up on. At the end of the day, who knows what will happen, but I encourage everyone to support the creators that they like on whatever means that is. Whether you like a TV show, whether you like a movie, whether you like a streamer or a YouTuber, support that person. Because the content machine only keeps rolling when people watch. speaking of watching, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video on my thoughts. It's probably quite unstructured, but I apologize. I just want to get this out because who knows when the strike will end. And I've been thinking about this a lot, and I just want to this is my version of getting it off my chest. So hopefully you found this interesting. Again, the links to where I was doing my reading is in the description. I encourage you, please do some reading up on it. If you do want to support it, there are some resources down below and ways that you can. So thank you so much. Keep watching and enjoy the content. Goodbye.